Live.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey guys, today I'm welcome with here we got Proud Masculine with us. Joe, how you doing today, buddy?
Good, man. Doing great. How are you?
Kicking ass today. And today, like we wanted to talk about like dealing with adversity as a man and everything. Because as guys, I think we face a lot of challenges in our lives, and we have to learn how to deal with adversity because, like, I think it helps us become more confident, it helps us become more stronger. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. It's not only inevitable, it's necessary.
Mm-hmm. And why would that be necessary, you think?
You never see people learn from their success. You always learn from your failures, from your challenges, from your struggles. And it also helps you weed out in the future what caused that. Were you the
Mm-hmm.
cause of it? Did you not, like, say, your struggles in your relationships and jobs? And I'll give you a perfect example.
Okay, let's hear it.
I bid on a job and I underbid myself. I undercut it. Thinking a little too big, too fast, too easy. I can do this and this. And it was some small things that I overlooked that are putting me like 3 days behind on this job now, and I'm losing money.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit of a pain in the ass. There's all kind of things I had to do to recover on the fly. I didn't account for, the environment, part of the tasks that needed the steps that need to be repeated, and they're just little things like that that'll eat your lunch.
Mm-hmm.
So now I've caused myself a little bit of strife, set myself back a little bit. It's become more of a challenge than it was originally. Now I've learned a valuable lesson. Be thorough, go over every task with a fine tooth comb. I was kind of pressured into turning in a bid within like 2 days, and there was a bunch of little items, and I'm like, well, I can take this project, this part of the project, and clump it here, and this part of the project, and I can get this done. And this, so I'm, throwing a bid together just
Mm-hmm.
to get it in time for the sake of getting a job. And I want to really put myself in a bit of a bind, but not being thorough. So
Right.
it's a little bit of a fucking headache now. So, but now I've learned a valuable lesson. Take your time,
Mm-hmm.
be thorough. And that could be in anything. You can look back on anything you had to go through, and there's a lesson. And it's if you're open to seeing the lesson, if you're open to receiving the lesson, and not wanting to turn yourself into a victim and feel sorry for yourself because it didn't work out the way you wanted or the way you had planned, or oh, nothing ever goes right, or why me, that type of thinking.
Oh, I've had
Just
that. I know what you're talking about. I used to, when I had, had failures in life, I would look as failure as it was weird. I always look as, that's this what my destiny. Like I didn't real. It took me a while to realize that through failure, well, when things don't go according to plan, you actually learn from that, and you learn what went wrong and what to do better next time. And you have to continue to have that awareness of what you're doing wrong. Otherwise, if you continue to repeat the same steps, you're going to, not move forward. And but I did use it was weird. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes too, when I'm going through the process, I that old mindset that I have comes up, and looking at failure as, okay, well, this is how it's gonna be. But I just learned to change it around. I say to myself, fuck it. I'm gonna learn from this, and it really empowers me to kind of move forward when it comes to my goals and stuff, and with anything I'm doing.
and it does. And mental toughness is basically a mindset, but it's a mindset through just like any other thing that you adapt to is through repetition. That you adapt and get efficient, become efficient with is through repetitions. And
Mm-hmm.
you can even you can have to implement mental toughness through uh, a positive situation. Even it just may be taxing, or it might be a bit of a process, more time than you thought, or a little bit more difficult than you thought. And the key is to not get caught up in the what's wrong with it, but what's right with it. When you
Mm-hmm.
start sinking, when your mind starts slipping a little bit, you start sinking into that bad thinking or that woe is me shit or whatever it looks like.
Right. I know what you're talking about.
Cast the fucking vision out to the future. And what's the end result? What am I looking to achieve? And how is this thinking, like I'm the victim, or this is a challenge, like how is this going to benefit me reaching that endpoint?
Right. Do you think a lot of guys fail to like kind of look at failure that way? You know, try instead of they look at. Do you think they don't look at they look at failures like the end all instead of looking at it as a learning experience and how to make it right?
Well, look around. That question answers itself. I'd say yes. A lot of guys do. I mean, you're looking. So one of the services I offer is a breakup recovery. You've broken up with, want to recover your relationship, get the ex
Mm-hmm.
back, or move on, and just you don't know how to do that and what that looks like, and you're really just falling apart, and you really want to pick these pieces up. And one of the things I tell my clients is, you are experiencing this breakup. It sucks. It hurts. And there's two paths you can take. There's more than two, but the two general paths are, suck it up. You're going to, in the beginning, I think everybody goes through this phase of a little bit. You're going to be you're going to have the blues for a little while. It's just going to fucking suck. There's no way to get around
That's
having your
true.
heart broken.
Do you think
But
no
then,
matter how tough you are as a guy, we all end up in that stage? Like if we had a long-term relationship with someone, we got that bluesy stage.
yeah. Well, and then the way you pacify yourself, usually it's going to be, first you're going to be alone. It's going to suck. You're going to be a little depressed. You're going to be dealing with anxiety and maybe lose your appetite. You may even turn to some drinking, maybe drugs, some self-destructive behavior a little bit in the beginning, overeating, overindulging in self-pity, that kind of shit. I don't think that's abnormal for a little bit of time. But then one path is you keep indulging in that behavior long-term just to mask the pain. And then you convince yourself, fuck that bitch, moving on. I ain't worried about her. You don't do anything positive or constructive with this time apart. And you just grow bitter and, kind of jaded from that experience. And what happens is down the line, and one day you come around, you feel better, you start dating again, but you didn't do anything. You didn't take that time to really look at what you contributed to that breakup, what you could have done differently. What are some things that you need to work on for a healthier experience the next go around? What if, and I have the four areas: mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional. There's work to be done in all of these areas.
Yeah, there is. No, I agree. Yeah, because everyone can help you move forward.
So I'm getting to my point. It's just taking a minute.
That's okay.
So you get the guy who has not done anything. Just, eventually the pain subsides, it goes away. It doesn't suck to think about her. And you move on with your life. You meet somebody, but you've done nothing now. But what you do know is how bad that sucked. And once you start having some sort of connection or feelings with this person, you're going to feel that, wait a minute, you're not going to put yourself out there like you did before because you're scared because of what happened. And you haven't done anything to ensure that you can maintain and manage a healthy relationship and have a healthy relationship with yourself. So what happens is the guy will settle for somebody less just to make sure that he's not putting himself out there too much to be fucked again,
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the guy who takes the L, charges it to the game, like we like to say, and, takes that pain and turns it inward into, introspection and reflection and getting brutally honest with himself and seeing what he could have done differently. Where did he contribute to the breakup? What could he do better in the future? and begin working on these things, getting his body right, getting his mind back right, getting himself emotionally healthy and spiritually fit. So a large majority of people, and I've had this conversation so many times, a large majority of men take the easy way out. They don't do the work. They don't want to look at that shit. You don't want to get honest and go to that dark place where you got to look at your faults and shortcomings. So they take that easy way out. But at the end of the day, that's not mental toughness. That's just trudging through something. That's just trudging and letting the process naturally take its course to where the pain goes away. It's not confronting anything. It's not being mentally tough. It's not facing your adversity. It's actually running. And then you take the guy who has done the work, who's taken the time to do what he needs to do to show himself up, upgrade his life and level up. And when the time comes that he meets somebody, not only does he not go back to the woman like he had, he's upgraded. He's attracting a healthier person. But that's what that looks like, that process.
And that's because he's upgraded his mindset, that he attracted that healthier person.
Yeah, exactly. And that's my whole point. That's facing your adversity. So you lose a job, and been there. I've been there too. What are you going to do? You're the victim. You got fired. It was unfair. Or you're going to sit down and really look at, this was on me, and this is why, and this is what happened. Mm-hmm. Because, it's an old adage, like if you don't acknowledge that there's a problem to fix, that no solution can exist. There's got to be acknowledgement of where things may have gone wrong and what your part in is, most importantly.
And I think that's one of the things that we fail to look at. We don't want to blame ourselves. We want to blame the outside world instead of looking at ourselves to the reasons why we ended up in certain places. Because a lot of the reasons why things don't go right sometimes is because we took the wrong action, or we had a negative mindset, or we did something to get to where we are. And I think sometimes we fail to realize that, and we need to have that awareness. Well, we have to look within ourselves and figure out, okay, well, this happened because I did this and that. It was me. I mean, sometimes there's some other factors that can account for it, but still, you can't get down on it all the time. But you got to also take responsibility for yourself and be like, hey, what did I do to end up where I am today, and work on getting off your ass and making shit happen.
Well, and that becomes a habit when you start learning to take accountability for your life and everything in it. That becomes your natural default setting. Okay, what could I have done better?
You need to develop that habit.
Your first reaction isn't to start searching for blame. All right, who the fuck caused this? And why me? And, it doesn't like that. It's like, okay, this happened. Mm-hmm. Why? There's going to be things that happen outside of your control that happen to you. And this is something I often tell clients about dealing with shit from their childhood, your traumas and limited beliefs and those core beliefs you have about yourself and that old story. You may not have caused that. That was your environment. That was your upbringing. That was some toxic shit at home. But now you own it. Whether you like it or not, it's yours. So what are you going to do about it? It's yours now, right? Full accountability. Right. And once you adopt and internalize that that's the only way to overcome and really take hold of your life and level up and thrive in life, I don't mean just exist, but I mean live your life, is taking complete ownership of it. And that requires an incredible amount of mental toughness, not just to get through the bad things, but think about the days you don't feel like getting up. Think about the days you don't feel like working out. Think about the days you don't feel like going to work. Think about the days you want to put that tedious fucking work task that you wish you could outsource right now, but financially you can't do it. So you got to do all the little stuff that's uninteresting and boring, but it's got to be done. That's mental toughness, which, I guess you could say is discipline, but that requires mental toughness. Mm-hmm. And it gets to a point where when shit does happen and you are confronted with something, a challenge, an obstacle, it doesn't faze you. You're up for the task. You're ready for the challenge. And okay, I've been here before. What can I do instead of thinking reactively? What could I have done? What can I do now to make sure this doesn't? I see the path. I see where this is going. What can I do now proactively to correct and make this right?
Right, exactly. Well, when I was, when I was like kind of learning how to be more social with women and everything, like one of the things I had to do, because I kind of put the blame on women for a lot of my reasons why I wasn't having success with women,
Yeah,
and
of
just like
course.
the stuff I've learned. But I had to realize too that, well, part of it, the reason why I wasn't having confidence around women is because I had a negative mindset about it, a way of looking at things. And I had to like learn how to I had to challenge all those beliefs that I had. And I learned, and it took a lot of mental toughness to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely
but
does.
the more I put myself out there, like, the more easier it became for me to be social with women. You learn a lot of stuff along the way. Sometimes, you got to realize too, I wanted every fucking approach I had with a woman to go well. And I know in real life, not everyone's going to like you. So I had to learn to accept that, and just have the toughness to like say, well, hey, you don't like me, it's okay. But hey, then I thought to myself too, I'm going to be saving lots of my time and my money.
So, with that being said, what is the number one thing going out and approaching, cold approaching, and uh, meeting women like that? What is the biggest hurdle you had to overcome?
Well, you know
That.
what, sometimes it's just like, being in the right frame of mind to
Well, no,
do
no,
it.
no. I'm not talking about like your something. It's something external. We both know the answer to this. It's not anything. I'm not asking like what was something that limited you. Um, Not something that limited you externally in the act of approaching. What is one thing, and I'll put it like this: this is like a hint, something you had to learn to live with and accept it. Approaching.
Oh crap, I'm having a
Come on, dude, you know this. Rejection.
yeah, rejection. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
That's
okay,
mental
yeah.
toughness. When you can move through a no and still smile and be unaffected, indifferent, that's it. That's what mental toughness looks like. Not being
Mhm.
defeated by some girl at a bar telling you not interested or
Right, exactly. Well, yeah, and that's what now you think about it, yeah, and that's what you got. I mean, if you want to become confident with women, and especially with people in general, you got to not worry about it. You can't worry about what they think, and you can't worry about like the rejection, because if you worry about that, that's what's going to hold you back, and you got to just learn to say fuck it. And sometimes, I'll be honest, it can be frustrating after getting like, rejections if especially if you're going out there, not things aren't happening, but you just learn to deal with it and just kind of go through the process of like, okay, well, what am I doing wrong to not having a good close rate? So, and you just kind of learn from there. Um, Raymond had a question. Yeah, I don't know if you see what on here, Joe, but he says, "Don't know if it's a Q&A, but I was wondering if you have tips on being a good listener." So, what do you have anything you want to say? I can just say, Raymond, like,
I
just
do. I actually did a video about it. I'm looking at my notes.
oh, okay, cool. I'll answer, but I'm, pretty much, Raymond. I just kind of, listening wise, I just kind of pay attention to what others are saying, try to stay focused on the conversation that I'm having. And from there, like, no matter what interaction that I have, like as I kind of stay focused on the conversation, I'm able to kind of steer it in the direction I want it to go or build upon it from there. But yeah, being a good listener is another skill, and I guess you just got to learn to, that's something that you develop over time. But I just learned, my thing is just to kind of pay attention more to what other people are saying, just and kind of acknowledge what they're saying, and kind of, again, by listening, you can steer the conversation to where you want to go. And you just want, and eye contact is important too. You want to have good eye contact, and when you're listening to that person, because I mean, when you have the eyes and you got the ears connecting and stuff, and the conversation's flowing, you can build it from there. Did you find it? You're in your notes, Joe?
No, man, I did a whole video on this on how to listen. There's some real basic tenets of listening and like levels of listening and being a listener. It's really interesting. And I'm gonna pull it up. Give me 1 second.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'd like to hear what you have to say.
I'm seeing if I have them on the phone. Shit. Well, we'll go over it another time. But here's the thing: there's levels to listening, and would you the highest level listener, what you want to achieve in being a listener, is to listen to understand. There's levels like there's like ignoring. I forget, but it was really interesting. It captivated. I made a video about it. It's listening to understand, not listening to answer, not listening to pacify, not listening to appease, but really listening to understand, listening to what they're saying.
That's
And what they
deep. I
kind of
like that.
and what that looks like is like you said it right. You know, eye contact is key. Eye contact, phone down, focus, and engaged.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you don't want to be distracted on anything, like doing anything like when you're trying to listen, because if you have distractions, it's going to really mess you up.
Not only that, that's totally blows that person's trust and ability to talk to you and come to you with something that's really important. I don't know about you, but I'm talking to somebody and I don't have their full attention. I feel a little bit slighted and disrespected. Like maybe what I'm saying is not interesting, or what I'm saying is not
Right.
important.
Exactly.
Like, okay, this don't even fucking matter. I'm gonna save my breath and move
Right.
along.
And that, can I chime in here? Like,
Yeah.
I notice too sometimes during my approaches with women, when they give me that feedback when I'm trying to communicate, I just kind of leave because it just shows lack of interest
Yeah.
and disrespect.
And other people can pick that up. So what that looks like is engaged. Um, and as they're talking, listen to what they're saying. What are they trying to convey by them wanting your attention to speak to you? You know, you're having a casual conversation, you still want to be engaged and listen to understand. To be able to show some empathy and commonality in the conversation. If you have somebody who's coming to you because they really need to speak to you about something, you got to get something off their chest, or they have something they want to go through with you. It's listen to understand. It's eye contact. It's every so often repeating what they're saying. Like, so what you're telling me is when we were talking earlier and I said this, you thought I meant that was about you. Okay. Let them know you're listening. It's interactive. So, and so what that allows them to say, hey, he is listening. Let me open up more. Then you truly listen and understand. And look, I'm guilty of listening to just want to defend myself, or listening to want to answer, or listening to want to give my 2 cents. It happens. You know, we're not perfect. And it goes like that sometimes. But yeah, it's listening and understand. And I tell you what, I'll do another video on it, and Raymond can go back and watch it, and I'll break it down. Well, how's that, Raymond? Answer your question. Where is he?
Probably he's still on. I think he's checking out your video too. But no, that's very insightful, man. Yeah, like I always want to acknowledge. Yeah, I always I acknowledge the other person too during the interaction. Because if you don't, yeah, Raymond, guys, you got it. You're welcome, Raymond. Thanks for asking your question. Feel free to ask another question. Welcome anytime. But no, like I always try to acknowledge that person when I'm, so even when I'm socializing with someone, I'd acknowledge them, just let them know that I'm paying attention. Because I meant and you know what, sometimes like before I noticed we're talking about distractions, when I was distracted and not paying attention, I would be like, the person who I was talking to would just be like, hey, are you even paying attention to what I'm saying? Because you're just like saying nodding off.
That's a big one. And look, I'm guilty of this. I'm guilty of this one, is being present in the moment. And
exactly.
because like even I'm guilty of this even right now, like currently, my girlfriend told me 2 nights ago, like, you're distracted. You're not present when we're together. And like, yeah, I got a lot going on. But when you're engaged in that conversation, when that person's giving you their time, that stuff doesn't matter. If it's that much more important, and you need to let them know, hey, look, I need to go focus on this. But what you have to say matters, and I'd love to hear everything you have to say, and I want to give you my full attention. Let me take care of this and get this out the way, and I'll be back, and we'll pick up. I want to hear everything you have to say. That's what listening looks like. And then being there, actually being there, present in the moment, not having your mind racing and thinking about all the shit you got to do in the morning when you exchanging ideas, because that's basically what a conversation is, right? Exchanging ideas, thoughts, and feelings. When you're in that exchange, it's your responsibility, if you agree to be in that conversation, to be present in that conversation, in the exchange, fully. Think about it. Think about what it looks like, and it's real easy. Think about what you would want somebody to be like when you're speaking to them.
Right. No, and I hear you on that. And now that we're talking, I'm glad Raymond brought up this thing about listening, because now it just got me thinking too. Don't you want to be when you're approaching that girl that you like? Don't you have to be a good listener too?
Oh, absolutely. You better. That's that is a sure test you're going to get from any woman, and especially if you approach that girl, it goes well, you have a couple dates, you're going to hear about that. You're going to be asked about that first night, and your ass better know something that makes sense, that to prove that you were there in the moment, paying attention, that you just wasn't, running some routine.
Mm-hmm. Well, right, and plus, like, when
they'll do some shit like, that was such a great night. What was that place we went to again? Like, they know it is. I didn't want to see if you know. What was I wearing? I don't remember.
Right.
You remember what you told me that night? That's a top one. You remember what you told me? Yeah.
Well, the only way I fail that shit test, if I was at a bar and I had a couple drinks.
And the simple things is her name. How many times have you been an hour into it and you're like, oh shit, I don't remember my name?
Right. That's right. No, I introduce myself. I get the name right away because that's so important.
Yeah, you get it. I've gotten it and forgotten it all in one sitting.
And that happens sometimes. But yeah, you definitely don't want to. If you meet a girl and you end up linking up later, you don't want to forget her name. So make sure you have her type it in there. That's happened to me plenty of times though. In my younger, probably my early 20s and stuff. I always had a friend of mine, and I'm like, was that the girl I talked to like last week? So I'd have to check with him to make. But right now it's just like, no, I just make sure that's important. Like name, then being like, we're talking about being present and in the moment. Like right. When you're present in the moment, especially with a woman or anyone else, like. I mean, that's going to really show that you're a good listener, that you're calm, cool, and collective and everything. But if you're not present in the moment, you've got all this shit in your head. How can you fucking be a good listener when you got all this shit in your head? You know what I'm saying? You're just like thinking about this and that. Oh, what could go wrong? That's really going to
cannot exist. They cannot exist. And that's if you got to do something like before you leave the house. Like if you're going out with a scatterbrain, like you got to go in the mirror and there's little things you can do to break that pattern. Like you give this big goofy smile, or I meditate. That's what works to keep my mind from racing, because I have my hands on a lot of things, and it can be overwhelming at times. Thank you. It's my son bringing me something to eat since I just walked in. And, the meditation helps to calm and keep the thoughts. Like when you meditate, your brain will naturally weed out that useless shit that doesn't need to be bouncing around in there. and it'll give you a technique. And all you're doing through meditating routinely, through repetitively, like we said, we learn through repetition. Like anything grows with repetitions, is you you allow your mind, your brain will naturally take, and this is walks as well. Walking, actually, the act of walking forward solves problems, filters out the unnecessary shit that doesn't need to be there. That comes back from my programming from being nomadic tribes people, when we had to move a lot, and the time to do the thinking and be on alert and make important decisions is when you were moving from one place to the next, or going with a hunting party. You had to really think and solve problems and become use that time to be very productive and useful. You couldn't waste it on being harebrained and scrambled.
Right. No, I hear you. And we can all get that way. But I like what you're saying, because like one of the things I do encourage is meditation, and just to like warm up socially, to get out of, because, I'm in a fatigue sometimes after work and shit, or when I go on you, but I just have random small talk with people just to get into that social momentum and stuff. But there's always some way to break out of that sluggishness and everything to get you to move forward.
Yeah. And then typically, well, I guess that we talk about listening, but like if you're out there socially, and typically once you get out there and you make the first move, or you're at the place, you tend to relax and unwind a little bit, like anything. Maybe a little nervous at first once you get started. I gotta know if are you involved in martial arts or combative sports?
I used to, but not as much anymore.
Well, it's a bit unnerving when you step out there at first. Like once you get hit or you get choked or something, it's okay, it's not that bad. Loosen up. Then you're thinking clearly. Things are kind of flowing. It's not a matter of if, but when you're just off and
right.
You're not present. You have all these things running through your mind. And the key is to give yourself ways to overcome that. There are techniques, and I think meditation is one of the most, it's really popular, but it's one of the most overlooked techniques for, calming your mind and being able to make quick decisions and being able to detach emotionally or mentally, emotionally detach from the situation and put yourself from a 10,000 foot view and see the big picture and be able to be more calculated and calm about how you're going to approach the situation. It's a really, really easy technique that's it's paid dividends for me.
Oh, that's cool. Hey, we got a question from Jordan. I'll answer this because I've been here, and then you can answer. It says, in terms of mental toughness, I'm about to move across the country from Washington to Florida to start a new engineering job. I'm leaving all my family and girlfriends behind. Any tips on that? So he seems like he's very excited, but it's a great opportunity, but he's a bit nervous too. Well, hey, Jordan, I'll answer your question first, and then Joe will, because I actually I lived in Michigan at one point, and I came all the way out to Arizona here about 5 years ago. First off, to kind of be with a girl that was in a relationship, but I ended up getting a good job before I came out here. And I was like, I'll be honest, I was second guessing myself. I was like nervous and shit like that. But one thing, like I thought to myself, was, a friend had talked to me, and he said, you know what, Rob, you better just go out there and, give it a try, because you don't want to have any regrets when doing it and not doing it. So I went out there, I did it. And then sure enough, after 4 months, it didn't work out with my ex and shit. And you know what? That was the best. I was a little frightened at first, but it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it forced me to grow as a man. Like, so coming out here, I didn't really know too many, a lot of people. So what I did is I just learned. One of the things I did is just learn to be social with everyone everywhere I went. And I'm sure they'll have these in Florida, but go to Meetup meetup.com. They have like local meetups for like new people new to the area. So you can do stuff. They go to bars. They do photography and stuff like that. So that you're going to meet a lot of people that way. I host meetup groups, and I meet a lot of people who have come here from Arizona, from other states and everything. And and the cool thing is, like, they end up coming to the group. They attend our events frequently and they meet new people. So you're definitely going to do that. But I would say, man, you're gonna face some challenges, I'm sure, but like you'll find a way to deal with it. It's not all that bad as it used to be. And the weird thing was, like, I was actually bummed out too, because I was leaving all my friends and my family back home. But after like a year of living here, like, I just didn't really care, because I started to develop my life out here in Arizona, and it was a lot more exciting than it was back home. I still like everyone back home, but I realized too that I still keep in touch with a few friends who I hung out with back in Michigan, but there were a lot of friends though who they kind of just disappeared, because like, I grew as a person, and you just realized they weren't a fit into my life. So I wouldn't worry about it, man. It's going to be awesome.
I actually know Jordan. I've worked with Jordan in the past.
Oh, okay.
And he's a young engineer. What are you, like 23 or 24, Jordan? Something like that. And you're 24. And if that's what you want to do, if that's what's calling you to do it now. Because I guarantee you, if you don't, it will come back full circle at some point, years from now. You'd wish you would have done it. What you have right now in your life is so temporary. And that's what young guys don't understand. Like, what you're going to experience in your 20s, 24.
Oh, my birthday's in July too.
Mine too.
Oh, wow.
Young, good-looking cat too. Jack, good-looking cat we worked on. And now, for the little bit of stuff we did together, it was actually a good bit of stuff. I worked with him for like 6 weeks. And you have the tools to go to be social and interact with women. Like, you know what to do now and how to lead up to that. But besides that, wherever you go, you're going to adapt. There's going to be an adjustment phase where you're probably going to go through a little bit of isolation, missing home a little bit. But that is a catalyst for growth and exponential growth. Having to go out there and fend for yourself and figure it the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually like a rite of passage for a man, is getting out there and being on his own. I don't know what your intentions are with a girl. If you're just going to break it off or try to make a long distance relationship work, with my experience, they don't. But I don't know. Sometimes if they agree to come, like if it's temporary and you're going to get back, then you can make that work a little while. If it's going to be a permanent thing where you just can see each other now and then, I figure, breaking it off. Yeah, and look, that's tough, because I know you. You're not a monster. I mean, I hope you've calloused up a little bit after what happened to you, and you got out there and got your ass kicked a little bit, and you hardened up to where you can do that, or it's a difficult decision. But that's another part of being a man and mentally tough, is making hard fucking decisions. That's just part of life. But if you know it doesn't suit you in the long run, you're doing the right thing. You can't be the good guy in everybody's story, But
right, man.
There's one in your story. You got to be the good guy. Like, you got to be the one looking out for you. And if this is calling you now at this age, there's a reason. So do it. Go experience it. You will be fine. Not only will you be fine, you're going to learn so much about life, yourself, other people, society. And you're going to broaden your horizons. You're going to broaden your experience. You're going to be broadening your thinking. You have no idea what's waiting over there for you. What part of Florida? I thought you were already in Miami. I thought he was in Miami already. Living there.
No, but it's definitely worth. I mean, I like what you said is so true, because like, you're going to go out there and have that experience. And it's a nerve wracking at first, but like,
you get to see, like, you don't have. There's nothing wrong with that. Palm Beach. That's a nice area. So there's plenty to do out there. plenty of people. You're going to find people that you have things in common with. There's nothing like being out there and having to figure it out and just make it work. You know, that's cultivating a resourceful an ability to solve problems, an ability to further yourself. And that's a way to challenge yourself and develop mental toughness, is being in these situations. I know him. I don't think he's going there loaded up, like with his parents buying him a house out there and setting him up with a house and all that. Like, he's going to have to go out there, work, provide for himself, you know, and figure it the fuck out. I love it. I love it.
No, that's cool. And that
takes balls.
You figure, yeah, and that's how you develop, you know, not the toughness to break through adversity, man. Like I've had challenges I've had to face too, and you know, I look back at that, I'm like, fuck, I did it. You know, at first it was nerve wracking, but I did it. You know.
So he asked. Let me see. Any tips? Like, tips on what? I mean, I don't understand. Like, tips on how to do it. Like, I don't know what you're asking exactly.
Like how to have mental toughness, you know, because he's leaving all his friends. And any tips on that in terms of mental toughness? Like,
I'd say, like with the girl, you don't want to be a prick about it and like, all right, see you, and never, you know, ghost her. You know, be a decent human being about it. Just let her know, hey, look, this is where this is going. And so I wish you the best. You know, I love you to death, but I have things I have to tend to, and I don't want to resent you for it later on down the line for not making that decision. And this is how it's going to be. You know, hopefully we can stay in touch, maybe see how things go. I wish you the best. If there's anything I can do, you know, let me know. Within reason, let me know. And then, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you obviously, okay, you want to have a job set up there. You don't want to just go loafing around.
Well, yeah, they definitely want to have a job set up.
Make sure you got a place to stay. Maybe call, like, get ahead of it, like you said, with the meetup thing, and see if you can get in touch with people online to set up a couple of people to meet up with, and just go there. And at first, focus on setting up your life, setting up your castle, you know, putting your shit together, getting the job established, getting to know the culture. Then you can start kind of intermingling and see where that goes. But it's not real complicated. It's only if you make it complicated.
Yeah, it's all in your mind, man. It's all in your mind. How you perceive things.
It's simple in theory. It could be a little more complex to practice. But just hearing me say what I said and you say what you said, you'll know as you arrive at these points that okay, here I'm stuck a little bit. I'm feeling a little lonely. I'm missing home, my routine. I'm used to seeing this girl every day. Then at first it might be really fun. Like, okay, this is different. I'm in sunny Florida. Got chicks in bikinis everywhere, and the food's good, fancy shit. Then that's going to level off some. The enthusiasm is going to deflate a bit. Then you're going to start wanting that routine back and missing home. But then you settle in. Then you might meet a friend or two. You meet somebody at the gym. And that's when get involved. Join the gym. Pick up a combat sport, a Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, or something. Go put yourself out there to meet people that have, like, you're an engineer. I don't know what engineers do, but go find like-minded people that, and I'm going to tell you right now, being a red-pilled guy, it's tough to meet people that are really aligned. It's always a challenge, but it's not the end of the world. And, but finding people, just find people you have shit in common with. And you'll get to know people, you'll meet people, and it'll work out. You're doing the right thing.
Yeah, you're making a change in your life. Any change is a little frustrating and irritating at first, but like in the end, it's like the best thing that could ever well, for me at least, it was the best thing that could ever happen. But yeah, it's the best thing that could ever happen as well. But anyways, guys, we're gonna have to wrap it up here because like we had to keep it short today because we both had something going. But we definitely we're gonna be on again because we just like spend some good information, knowledge to help you guys out. So before I go, Joe, where can they find you?
Proudmasculine.com to schedule a session. At Proud Masculine on Instagram, follow me there. proudmasculine@yahoo.com to email me any questions, or and like my YouTube, follow me on YouTube here, Proud Masculine. Real fucking
I
easy
got
to
you
find
right
me.
there. You can find you right there. I got you in the little thing there. So you'll be
And
good.
go to my page, go like, go subscribe, go watch some videos, interact with it. Help me get into the algorithm. I don't have a huge following, but I'm really looking to build that. My goal right now is to hit 1,000, and then from there I'll obviously keep growing and change
Joe,
things.
I really I like doing these Q&As, and I don't know, maybe we can try to make this, maybe try get on twice a month, for a little bit, and for an hour.
Oh yeah, I'd love that.
I like talking with you. I met Joe through the community, and he's a very cool guy. Like when I first talked to the guy, I'm like, this guy is very insightful. I told him, when I start my YouTube channel, I'm gonna have you on. And sure enough, 2 years later, like
It is.
On
It
here,
worked out just like that, didn't it?
Yeah, he's awesome. But thanks for
I was
joining.
able to help you with some things in the beginning.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, and we still kind of shoot the shit off when we're not chatting, but we have just by talking, we just have a lot of similarities and stuff, which is very cool. But yeah, thanks for coming on, Joe. We'll have to do this again, like in the next week or two for sure. And be sure, guys, to subscribe to my channel at Command Your Confidence if you haven't already. I'll be going live this weekend with Mark's Inspiration and the Sophisticated Man at be at 2 p.m. MST, which is 5 p.m. Pacific time. No, I mean Eastern time, and I think Pacific is on the same time, so 2 p.m. Pacific. So definitely subscribe and check that out, and check out some of my old videos. I've had a few other live shows I did with Joe too on the channel, and you could also go to my website, commandyourconfidence.com, where I have the book, The 5 Pillars of Self-Confidence, or if you'd like some basic coaching and mentoring, you can check it out. Until next time, you guys take control of your life, take charge, and command your fucking confidence and kick ass.
Thank you, Jordan. I see what you said there.